Good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to join you this morning for this conference. Basically, what I'm going to do for the next 15 or 20 minutes is talk about Entrepreneurial Ireland, covering first how entrepreneurial it is, why it is so important for Ireland to be entrepreneurial, where do our entrepreneurs come from, what makes us so entrepreneurial, and then lastly, optimising our entrepreneurial potential. So just in terms of the first point as to how entrepreneurial we are, basically we have been ranked internationally as #1 country for doing business in 2013 by Forbes, so pretty strong endorsement. And #2 in terms of the rate of early stage entrepreneurship, and that's from the GEM report, and #9 across the European 28. So by international measures, continuously coming up strong. And then a very strong percentage, and this is obviously driven by the size of the country, of our startups, which actually from an early stage have to export. So a much more outward-looking type of company being started in Ireland than the average internationally. Just in terms of the level of international activity that we have, there's 15,000 startups in 2013. And this is really the highest level of business since the onset of the economic downturn. So really important to see those numbers turning up. And in May alone, there were 1,783 new companies registered, so that's 107 per day. So we can see a great upturn in the level of entrepreneurship relative to what we've had. And obviously, the international dimension of that coming through. Construction, good to see an increase again of the activity in that side, having had a fairly lean period. Just in terms of, does it really matter, is really the question many people will ask as to whether or not we're entrepreneurial or not. And really, startups create 2/3 of all the new jobs. So from an Irish economic recovery perspective, it's really important, and Dublin is obviously the key focus of that in terms of the largest city, and given the small scale of the country, it's export-driven sales which are going to develop the jobs, which in turn will drive the national and regional prosperity. So really from an Irish perspective, it is really important, and the mission in Enterprise Ireland is to work with entrepreneurs and with existing companies, and that's about maximising the growth and the export potential of the companies with a view to maximising job creation within Ireland. Just put numbers on it, we have about 5,000 clients at present, and the level of exports, 18 billion, which and 300,000 jobs directly and indirectly, so it's roughly a 1-to-1. So there's about 175,000 jobs directly in our clients and about 125,000 indirectly. So moving on to where do the entrepreneurs come from, and the most important source of entrepreneurs historically has been from existing companies, which will be no surprise to people in the room, from both indigenous companies and the multinational sector. Third level is coming in at about 12% of our entrepreneurs nationally, and I'm talking here about Enterprise Ireland supported high potential startups. So we're supporting about just in excess of 100 per annum. And that third level grouping is a really important focus of government policy in terms of the amount of funding which has been put into third level and really trying to maximise the impact from a state funding perspective. In terms of the overseas side, which again is important, we have 34% of the companies which are coming from overseas entrepreneurs, and 15% is coming from overseas entrepreneurs, and that again is a specific focus in terms of supporting and attracting, and this is an endorsement of Ireland's attractiveness as a location. Historically, what we were finding was the entrepreneurs that were coming into Ireland were effectively coming in, the overseas entrepreneurs, it was Irish people returning home to set up a company. Today, at least half of those overseas entrepreneurs are coming in and they have no connection with Ireland. So the reason why they're coming to Ireland, and hopefully I can move on the screen here, hopefully they're coming to Ireland because they're finding that it's a very good source of an entrepreneurial place to do business. So in terms of just going back to the multinationals, and I'll not go through this in the interest of time, but multinational companies have been a very rich source historically of companies. In terms of, we have a 10 million fund dedicated to fund overseas entrepreneurs setting up in Ireland, and those are coming in from all over Europe and Argentina, the States, etc. Just to give you a picture as to what a number of those are like, Mainstay Technology, and this is an electrode that cures chronic back pain. And again, this is one which set up in Ireland, and because of the licensing laws in the UK and the US, we're increasingly been found attractive as a source of overseas entrepreneurs coming in, setting up, establishing into the European market, and then backing into the US market. In terms of Beastmark, and this is two Italian guys who basically decided to come to Ireland, and this is their wording as opposed to ours. They came here because Ireland is one of the best places in the world for a digital startup. And the ecosystem, you know, within a couple of miles of the convention centre here, increasingly growing up in terms of the venture capitalists, the accelerators, the number of young starts, the multinational companies that are very proactively working with the indigenous startups. So that's increasingly a key part of the offer from an Irish perspective. In terms of Platform One, Irish expats coming to Ireland, and really what they're doing is using Ireland, and because of the very strong base of technology companies in Ireland, they felt this was the right place to set up their company. Subject close to my heart, this is an area where we're definitely punching below our weight. 7 in 2012, 7 of in excess of 100 startups were from females. It has been a specific focus of government policy in terms of trying to drive it. Last year we hit the lofty number of 15. It's work in progress, still plenty of scope to grow that figure further, and it's really about using all of the talent available to the country and maximising that. You know, companies like Vidyad, which is really a software technology to help people produce their own video ads. So really exciting, innovative companies coming up. In terms of the innovation agenda, it's really about translating what's happening in the third level, and I know we're going to hear from Brian later this morning, but over the last number of years, government have continued to fund the third level, and really the ask of agencies like Enterprise Ireland is, how do you get a better return on that investment? And it's really important to the whole question of open innovation in terms of getting everybody working together, and we have a number of programmes in terms of being able to drive that. Collaboration between industry and the third level. It's about maximising the commercialising at company level. It's about building international linkages, and Antti has talked about the Horizon 2020 and the funding available and trying to maximise that, and then getting in-company R&D working to maximum effect. And last week here we had the launch of KTI, which is really about transferring the knowledge that's within the third level out to existing and to new companies. And just to put figures on it, in 2005 the number of technology transfers recorded was 12. In 2013 that had grown to 119. So again, really important to grow this and very important to this task. Just in terms of some of the projects, REMPAD was one of the projects that not only was a spin-out from third level, it also was using, it's a female entrepreneur, but it really is addressing the Alzheimer's market, where you have software which is really about helping to target that. Smart Wall Paint, a more recent one using technology which was linked up with DIT, and that's, you know, effectively to be able to use a whiteboard on any surface. OpenNet, done a number of open innovation programs with Athlone Institute of Technology, and Dairymaster, a company in Tralee which has done very exciting innovation programs with ITT. So increasingly this is really important. So what makes Ireland so entrepreneurial? We're ranked 15 out of 185 companies. IMD, our countries, IMD has said we're first for flexibility and adaptability, first for attitudes towards globalisation and obviously driven by the small country, second for unit labour costs, and third for availability of skilled labour. So a number of things which really help our sale. In terms of the culture and the number of, we've a unique mix with all of the multinationals, many of whom are here today, and also a very strong ecosystem for entrepreneurial companies, pro-business government culture, and then funding has been available, and that has really grown in recent years with the development of the venture capital and business angel communities to support it. Just in terms of where we have a large number of multinationals, and in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through this, but most of you have 9 of the top global ICT companies, 15 of the 20 top medical device companies, etc. So a very strong base of multinationals, which really has spawned out many of those entrepreneurs that we are currently dealing with. The ecosystem, and it's everything from the VCs, the mentors, the serial entrepreneurs that we are increasingly engaging with, who are selling out, coming back in to start new companies, etc. Just in terms of the funding available, over the last number of years, the government have supported a number of venture capital funds, which Enterprise Ireland has been funding jointly with the private sector, a really key part of the infrastructure. And it isn't all about money and the direct ecosystem. Obviously, Ireland as a good place to live, and the culture within Ireland is really important in terms of attracting particularly the overseas entrepreneur, and increasingly as Irish people are deciding to start up companies, a key ask is, why stay in Ireland, why not move overseas? So the quality of life issues are obviously really important. In terms of optimising our potential, the feedback that we get consistently from our overseas network is that all of the reasons why Ireland was successful over the last couple of decades are still in existence. The doors are open, there's a very pro-Irish reception from customers abroad, and a very high recognition of the innovation that we have, which is basically changing lives every day of the week. And just in terms of giving you an insight into some of those, you go into the Houses of Parliament in London, what you're going to find is Irish technology, which is effectively powering the access to the Houses of Parliament. I hope none of you have used this software, which is used by the British police when prisoners are released to basically tag them, Irish technology. For anybody crossing borders in many countries, it's Irish technology, which is basically reading the biometrics, etc. And again, day on, a very successful company. And increasingly, what we're finding is the growth of these, and I could go on for a long time going through the successes. TrustEv is one that recently got great recognition in the US for the technology, and it's about the identities of millions of online customers and security in that space. So what we have is a group of companies that are clued into what's happening in the market, and also working in with the third level here and with other companies to avail of the opportunities. There's a question mark as to whether there will be a World Cup in Qatar. For many companies in the Irish side, we actually don't care. We hope we will be there, but the stadia are being built, and Mercury Engineering in Dublin has got a contract. It'll be the first ever solar-powered, climate-controlled football stadium. It will have to be climate-controlled, but Irish technology, and this is smart technology. And what we have, one of the real benefits of all the multinationals that have come to Ireland over the years is the demanding standards that were required in order to build the plants. And now what we have within the construction sector, people like Mercury Engineering who can win business all over the world on the strength of what they've done in the domestic market. So there will be Irish technology in Qatar, even if there isn't a World Cup. In fact, I was in Abu Dhabi about 3 months ago on a trade mission, and we were sitting at a lunch table, and there was a guy there from Abu Dhabi discussing the World Cup and said, it's never going to happen in Qatar, so we'll wait and see. I'm not going to... European Space Agency, again, there's funding available not just through Enterprise Ireland, but this is Radisson's, and it's a technology company in Cork enabling blood analysis aboard spacecraft, and it's been funded using European Space Agency funding as well. So it's really important that we're maximising this. And Aerogen, really interesting company. Basically, it takes vaccines and it's converted it to an aerosol. So for babies in the third world in particular that are too weak to take an injection into their arm, put a mask on, they get the vaccine. Absolutely world-changing technology. And this is the link in terms of innovation, which has been strongly driven by what's happening in the third level and been then run out through entrepreneurial people who are prepared to take the plunge and actually go it alone. Just in terms of, so we're more experienced than ever. We have a dynamic economy. We have a lot of pluses going for us. So in terms of doing business in Ireland and starting up your company, it probably is the time to do it. And just to finish, what I'm going to do is show you a very brief video, hopefully. And this isn't going to... Can you play that from the back? Is that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. So the very strong link between what's happening in Enterprise Ireland and what's happening in the third level. Obviously, it's a key and growing part of it. And the blend between the multinationals and people who have the desire to go it alone is really driving probably the strongest group of startup companies that we've seen at any stage. So from the point of view of Entrepreneurial Ireland and Entrepreneurial Dublin, it's a good time to be an entrepreneur. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll just finish with this.